What if I told you that the most powerful economy in the world isn't the one you see on TV or the one your country's leaders talk about? What if the real engine of survival, the system people turn to when everything else collapses, is hidden in shadows, illegal on paper, but essential in practice? And what if the currency that truly decides who survives during crisis isn't the dollar, the euro, or any government-backed money at all? There exists an invisible network beneath our official economy, a system fueled by scarcity, fear, desperation, and something ancient: gold. This network grows every time a nation falls, every time a currency collapses, every time trust in authority evaporates. Today, we're going deep into that world. The world of black markets and why throughout history people keep turning to them when everything else stops working. Nothing here is what it seems, and by the end of this video, you'll understand why. Before we dive into the past, we need to understand something fundamental. People don't rely on systems because they love rules. People rely on systems because they believe those systems will protect them. But what happens when systems stop working? What happens when governments restrict access, when money loses value, when inflation rises faster than wages, and when the public stops believing in the promises of leaders? Then, and only then, another economy emerges, a hidden one. And here is the twist that has repeated for thousands of years. The more control a government tries to exert, the stronger the black market becomes. This has happened in ancient empires, medieval kingdoms, modern dictatorships, and even democratic nations. And still, very few people understand how black markets truly work, or why gold becomes the ultimate fallback currency when everything else collapses. To understand why, we must go back to the origins. Part 3: Origins: How Shadow Economies Begin. Black markets don't begin with criminals. They begin with restriction. When people can't get what they need legally, they get it illegally. It's that simple. During World War II, governments rationed food, fuel, clothing, and medicine. Instantly, a shadow economy formed. People traded goods behind closed doors, sold extra rations, and smuggled foreign items. Gold jewelry was exchanged for bread. Cigarettes literally became a currency because they were scarce, portable, and always in demand. This is the foundation of every black market in history. When the official economy fails, humans build a secondary one. Not because they want to break the law, but because survival requires it. How black markets gain power. Shadow economies begin quietly, but grow rapidly because they follow a single rule: serve the need, not the law. The Soviet Union is the perfect example. Throughout the 1970s and 80s, Soviet factories produced enormous amounts of goods, but terrible distribution meant store shelves were often empty. You couldn't find basic items like sugar or clothing, even though factories claimed to produce plenty. So the second economy rose, an unofficial, illegal market where people traded Western goods, electronics, meat, clothes, and eventually gold. Gold became the preferred store of value because the ruble was worthless outside the USSR, and inflation, though denied by the government, was eating away the real value of salaries. By the 1980s, the Soviet black market accounted for more than 20% of the entire economy, 1/5 of a superpower. Operating in the shadows. This wasn't crime, this was necessity. When trust dies, a black market becomes unstoppable when people stop trusting their official currency. That's when the real collapse begins. We've seen it in Zimbabwe, we've seen it in Venezuela. We've seen it in 1920s Germany. Hyperinflation doesn't just destroy money. It destroys trust. In Zimbabwe, prices doubled every day. In Venezuela, a month's salary couldn't buy a loaf of bread. In Weimar Germany, children played with stacks of banknotes like they were toys because the money was cheaper than wood. When trust collapses, people seek something real, something that has held value for 5,000 years: gold. When paper becomes worthless, gold becomes survival. When black markets take over, when the shadow economy becomes more functional than the legal one, everything begins to unravel. Here's the chain reaction. Scarcity increases. People start trading privately, prices go underground. Government loses control, inflation accelerates. People turn to gold, foreign currency, or bartering, smuggling spreads, corruption becomes normal. Law enforcement weakens, the black market becomes the real market. This happened in Yugoslavia during the Balkan Wars, where official salaries became meaningless. Doctors, soldiers. This isn't ancient history, it's happening now. Today, the global black market is estimated at $10 trillion, larger than most national economies. In parts of Asia and Africa, as much as 40% of gold transactions happen off the books. During the 2020 global lockdowns, underground trade in food, medicine, and transportation surged in more than 60 countries. In some nations, up to half the workforce participates in the shadow economy. These numbers aren't signs of criminality. They're signs of mistrust, a warning that faith in official systems is weakening, and people are preparing alternatives. The pattern is repeating, and history suggests it will repeat again. Black markets don't appear because people want to break the law. They appear because governments fail to meet basic needs. Gold becomes valuable in crisis not because it's shiny, but because it's the ultimate fallback currency when trust in paper money collapses. Every major economic collapse, ancient or modern, follows the same cycle. Scarcity gives mistrust, gives black markets, gives alternative currency, gives loss of government control. So here's the real question. If your official economy failed tomorrow, if currency froze, if inflation wiped out savings, if food and fuel became scarce, which system would you rely on? The legal one or the hidden one? Because history shows that when survival is at stake, the underground economy becomes the real economy. If you want to understand the forces shaping our financial future and the systems that rise when governments fall, make sure you subscribe, hit the bell, and join the community. Because the next chapter of this story may be closer than any of us think.